In the previous lecture, you have studied the concept of congruences and some properties of congruences. In this lecture also, we can discuss some properties of congruences with an examples. So we'll have another important property. For arbitrary integers a and b, a is congruent to b modulo n if and only if a and b leave the same remainder when divided by the positive integer n. Now let us move to the proof of the theorem. First part of the proof. So let us take a is congruent to b modulo n. So then you have to prove that the integers a and b have the same remainder when divided by n. So let us take let a is congruent to b modulo n. So this implies n divides a minus b. So this implies a minus b can be written as n into k for some integer k. So this can be written as a is equal to b plus n into k. Let us correct as equation number 1. This is when the integer b is divided by n. Let q be the quotient and r be the remainder. Yes. Therefore, by division algorithm, we have b is equal to n into q plus r. So already we defined where q is the quotient and r is the remainder when the integer b is divided by n. So 0 less than or equal to r less than n. That is the correct equation number 2. Now substituting equation 2 in 1, we get a is equal to in place of b we take equation 2. So b is equal to nq plus r plus n times of k. So this is equal to n is common, q plus k plus r. So this is equal to n into k1 plus r, where k1 is equal to q plus k. K is also integer and q is also integer, therefore k1 is also integer. So this implies a is equal to n into k1 plus r. So this implies r is the remainder when the integer a is divided by n. So this implies r is the remainder when a is divided by n. Correct as this equation number 3. So we can observe that from the equation 2 and from the equation 3, when the integer b is divided by n, we have the remainder r. We can observe from the equation 3, when the integer a is divided by n, we have the same remainder r. Therefore, we can conclude that the integers a and b have the same remainder same remainder R when the integers a and b divided by n. So next, in the proof of the second part, that is converse part, if a and b leave the same remainder r when divided by n, so then you have to prove that a is congruent to b modulo n. Suppose the integers a and b leave the same remainder r, then we can write a as n into q1 plus r and b is equal to n into q2 plus r. Here you can observe that a is divided by n, therefore there exists quotient integer q1 and remainder r, and the integer b is divided by n, there exists a integer q2 with the same remainder r. So where 0 less than or equal to r less than n. So then a minus b is equal to n into q1 plus r minus of n into q2 plus r. So this is equal to n is common, n into q1 minus q2, and plus r and minus r get cancelled, plus 0. So this implies a minus b is equal to n into q, where q is equal to q1 minus q2. Here q is integer, since q1 and q2 are integer, therefore q1 minus q2 also integer. So this implies n divides a minus b. So this can be written as a is congruent to b modulo n. So this is the proof of the theorem. Example, 7 is congruent to 5 modulo 2. Since 2 divides 7 minus 5, so this implies 2 divides 2. So here you can observe that when the integer 7 is divided by 2, so 7 can be written as 2 into 3 plus 1, remainder is 1. For the integer 5, when the integer 5 is divided by 2, so 5 can be written as 2 into 2 plus 1. You can observe that the integers, the 7 and 5, have the same remainder, that is 1. And moreover, you can observe that so 7 is congruent to 5 modulo 2, because 2 divides 7 minus 5, this implies 2 divides 2. So this is the example for the above theorem. So we'll move to next theorem. If CA is congruent to CB modulo n, so then we prove that A is congruent to B modulo n by D, where D is the GCD of C and n. So let us move to the proof of the theorem. Let CA is congruent to CB modulo n. So this implies n divides CA minus CB. So this implies n divides C is common, A minus B. So this implies C into A minus B is equal to n into K. So let us take it as equation 1 for some integer K. Also, we know that GCD of C comma N is equal to D. So this implies where D is the greatest common divisor of C and N. So this implies D divides C and D divides N also. This implies C can be written as C is equal to D into K1 and N can be written as D into K2 for some integers K1 comma K2. So and let us do the condition and GCD of K1 comma K2 is equal to 1. It means K1 and K2 are relatively prime numbers. So let us collect equation number 2. Now substituting equation 2 in 1 we get where C is equal to, let us take D into K1 and where N is equal to, let us take D into K2. From 1 we get using 2 we have C is equal to D into K1 into A minus B is equal to N is nothing but D into K2, that is D into K2 into K. Here D get cancelled, so this implies K1 into A minus B is equal to K2 into K. This implies K2 divides K1 into A minus B. This implies K2 divides A minus B, but K2 does not divide K1 since GCD of K1 and K2 is 1. So K2 does not divide K1. K1 and K2 are relatively prime numbers. Therefore, K2 does not divide K1. So this implies K2 divides A minus B only. This implies A is congruent to B modulo K2. So this can be written as A is congruent to B modulo N by D. Since N is equal to D into K2, this implies K2 is equal to N by D. So this is the proof of the theorem. So we'll move to corollary. If CA is congruent to CB modulo N and GCD of C comma N is equal to 1, so then you have to prove that A is congruent to B modulo N. Proof of the corollary is simple. We can refer the previous theorem. So you can observe the previous theorem, that is if CA is congruent to CB modulo N, then you have to prove that A is congruent to B modulo N by D, where GCD of C comma N is equal to DR. So in the corollary, so GCD of C comma N is 1. So therefore A is congruent to B modulo N. Another corollary, if CA is congruent to CB modulo P and P does not divide C, where P is a prime number, then A is congruent to B modulo N. You have to prove that. So since we can observe that P does not divide C and GCD of C comma P is 1, so therefore C and P are the relatively co-primes. So by referring to previous corollary, just replace N by P. So therefore A is congruent to B modulo P. So take a note, if A is not congruent to 0 modulo n, and b is not congruent to 0 modulo n. So then AB is congruent to 0 modulo n. So for example, so 4 is not congruent to 0 modulo 12, and 3 is not congruent to 0 modulo 12, but so 12, 4 into 3, 12 is congruent to 0 modulo 12. So using the theory of congruences, let us solve the problems. So we'll take first problem. Prove that 2 power 20 minus 1 is divisible by 41. Or the same problem can be written as prove that 41 divides 2 power 20 minus 1. Or they can ask find the remainder when 2 power 20 is divided by 41. So let us move to the solution now. So you have to prove that 2 power 20 minus 1 is divisible by 41. It means we prove that so 2 power 20 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. Is supposed to prove that 2 power 20 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. Now let us consider 2 power 5 is congruent to minus 9 modulo 41. Since 41 divides 2 power 5 plus 9, minus of minus plus 9. So this implies 41 divides 2 power 5 is 32 plus 9. So this implies 41 divides 41. So therefore you can write 2 power 5 is congruent to minus 9 modulo 41. We are supposed to prove that 2 power 20 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. So let us raise the 2 power 5 power 4. So therefore we will get a power as a 20. So this implies 2 power 5 whole power 4 is congruent to minus 9 over the 4 of 4 modulo 41. So this implies 2 power 20 is congruent to minus 9 over the 4 of 4 into modulo 41. So we know the theorem, the number 2 power 20 and the number minus 1 to the power of 4 have the same remainder when divided by 41. This implies 2 power 20 is congruent to 9 to the power of 4 modulo 41. Let us call as equation number 1. So now we have to let us find out the remainder of 9 to the power of 4. Now 9 square is equal to 81. 81 is congruent to minus 1 modulo 41. Since we can observe that 41 divides 81 minus of minus 1. So this implies 41 divides 82. So therefore 9 square whole square is equal to 9 to the power of 4 is congruent to minus 1 whole square modulo 41. So this implies 9 to the power of 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. Let's call equation this is 2. So you can observe that the integer 9 to the power of 4 divided by 41 we have the remainder 1. So in place of write the for 4 for the equation 1, we substitute 1. So therefore you can write 2 power 20 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. Using 2, equation 1 reduced to 2 power 20 is congruent to 1 modulo 41. Consider another example. Find the remainder obtained upon dividing the sum 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial plus 4 factorial and so on plus 100 factorial by 12. We move to the solution. So you have to find the remainder of this sum and divide by 12. So generally when you divide the 100 factorial by 12, so 100 factorial itself is very big number, so it is very difficult to find the remainder. So therefore by using congruences easily we can solve the problem by 12. So that 1 factorial is equal to 1 is congruent to 1 modulo 12, since 12 divides 1 minus 1. So therefore remainder of 1 factorial is 1. So 2 factorial can be written as 2, so that is congruent to 2 modulo 12, since 12 divides 2 minus 2. So therefore 2 is the remainder of 2 factorial. So let us find out the remainder of 3 factorial. So 3 factorial can be written as 6. So 6 is congruent to 6 modulo 12, since 12 divides 6 minus 6. So let us find out the remainder of 4 factorial. So 4 factorial can be written as 24. So 24 is congruent to 0 modulo 12, since 12 divides 24. 5 factorial is equal to 4 factorial into 5 is also congruent to 0 modulo 12. Since you can observe that if AC is congruent to BC modulo n, so then you proved that result A is congruent to B modulo n. So therefore 4 factorial into 5 is congruent to 0 modulo 12, since 12 divides 4 factorial into 5. But here you can observe that 12 divides 4 factorial, but 12 does not divide 5. So therefore you can write 5 factorial is 4 factorial into 5 is congruent to 0 modulo 12. Similarly 6 factorial can be written as 5 factorial into 6, that is again is congruent to 0 modulo 12, since 12 divides 5 factorial. So and so on. So 100 factorial can be written as 99 factorial into 100, again it is congruent to 0 modulo 12. So therefore 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial plus 4 factorial plus and so on plus 100 factorial is congruent to remainder of 1 factorial is 1 plus remainder of 2 factorial is 2, remainder of 3 factorial is 6 plus remainder of 4 factorial onwards, so that is 0 and so on 0 modulo 12. That is 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial plus 4 factorial plus and so on plus 100 factorial is congruent to 1 plus 2 plus 6 is nothing but 6 modulo 12. Therefore, 9 is the remainder of the sum 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial and so on plus 100 factorial when divided by 12.